Good evening, class. My name is Rachel Stevens, and I'm excited to present to you my presentation of the 6 big ideas in teaching students with disabilities. So please join me as I go through all 6 big ideas and briefly touch on each one of them. The first big idea I wanted to talk about is the big idea 1, impact of law and history on special education and STEM. Two court cases come to mind when I'm talking about the law and history of special education. The first one is Pennsylvania Association for Retarded Citizens versus Commonwealth from 1971, and then also Mills versus Board of Education of the District of Columbia from 1972. Both of these ended with the courts deciding that every child with a disability have the right to be educated, which are grounded in the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Still speaking on the law and history of special education, there were 4 purposes of the passage of 94-142 from 1975, the Education of the Handicapped Act, which is EHA. The first purpose was to assure free, appropriate public education, which is called FAPE or FAPE, special education and related services designed to meet their unique needs. Second purpose was to assure the rights of children with disabilities and their parents and make sure they're protected. The third purpose was to assist states and localities to provide for the education of all children with disabilities. And finally, the fourth purpose was to assess and assure the effectiveness of efforts to educate all children with disabilities. So why not integrate special education with STEM? According to the Department of Education, about 13% of the student population, which is roughly 6.5 million students, are in special education. So why not utilize the group of students to fulfill the STEM initiative? The benefits of special education integration with STEM include FAPE or FAPE being fulfilled and special education not taking a step back in history. Also contributing to the STEM initiative, increasing the amount of students pursuing STEM careers, inclusion and mainstreaming, and also Many improvements can be made in their progress goals due to the varied nature of STEM, which includes tactile, kinesthetic, visual, auditory, and more. Big idea 2, inclusive education in STEM. The word inclusion is defined as the practice of educating all children in the same classroom, including children with physical, mental, and developmental disabilities. IDEA, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, states that special education students receive a free and appropriate education from the ages of 3 to 21. In 1975, IDEA mandated that special education students be placed in their least restrictive environment. But that's difficult to do with limited resources and budgets. That is, until digital technology swept into schools. So, how do inclusive education and STEM go together? In a STEM classroom, there are many accommodations that are given to our students with disabilities. Some of these accommodations include regular movement, not quite shorter class times, but times for students to take breaks to process the information that they're learning, smaller classes or smaller groups of kids working together, respectful, understanding environments where there is a safe space for them to learn and to make mistakes. And finally, flexible teaching styles where we do a lot of project-based learning and inquiry approaches. Now let's talk about Big Idea 3, collaboration between general and special educators in STEM. In special education, the term collaboration usually refers to a team teaching approach. In addition to the regular classroom teacher and the special education teacher, a collaborative team may also include speech, occupational, and or physical therapists. Today, more special education students are taught in regular classrooms, and collaboration is increasing. Collaboration helps to ensure children with learning disabilities get a free, appropriate public education, including specialized instruction in a regular classroom. The collaborative teaching models include one lead, one support, station teaching, parallel teaching, alternative teaching, and of course, team teaching. So moving right along, let's talk about Big Idea 4, the impact of UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, and STEM education. So why Universal Design for Learning? Because students have different needs, they come from different educational backgrounds, they have different attention spans and interests, they have different language abilities, and they have different cultural backgrounds. The origins of UDL can be found in early civil rights and special education legislation that stressed the right of all students to a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. This framework was created by the researchers at CAST, Center for Applied Special Technologies, in the late 1980s as a result of placement of three abstract changes: advancements in architectural design, developments in education technology, and discoveries from brain research. Now let's talk about Big Idea 5, Impact of Student Behavior and Teacher Mindfulness in STEM. Increased mindfulness can enrich a variety of important social and emotional skills, including self-awareness, empathy, handling stress, and identifying emotions. As students think about their feelings, they will begin to practice self-control and self-regulations, which can increase focus and encourage accountability. How to teach self-regulation in the classroom: you can provide structure and tools for learning. You can scaffold instruction, which can include the zone of proximal development. You can discuss and reflect in a non-judgmental way. And you can also model and practice behavior through role play. Benefits of integrating mindfulness in STEM education can include improved overall well-being, heightened emotional intelligence, reduced stress, and enhanced happiness. Finally, we come to our last big idea. Big Idea 6, using technology to impact student learning in STEM. In the age of technology, educators have to create a balance between traditional teaching methods and the incorporation of digital resources. The sense of balance is particularly important for students with disabilities. There are many resources for teaching students with technology, and I included some of them at the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for joining me tonight as I talked about the 6 big ideas of teaching students with disabilities. On this page, I have included a link to go to some resources that you can use to help you understand the 6 big ideas more. Have a good night.